Let's be honest, morning routines have become kind of a religion. You've probably heard a lot of times that the secret to success is waking up at 5 a.m., meditating, journaling, drinking lemon water, and taking an ice bath all before sunrise. But what if I told you that following a strict morning routine might actually make you less productive? Or even worse, what if it's holding you back instead of setting you up for success? We've all been led to believe that the most successful people swear by their morning routines, that if you just follow their exact blueprint, you'll be more productive, more disciplined, and ultimately more successful. I mean, it sounds logical, right? Because structure equals results and chaos pretty much equals failure. Well, here's the problem, that is not how it works. And I know that because I've experimented with different approaches, and in some of the most productive periods of my life, I had zero morning routine and it made my life better. So in this video, I'll break down exactly why a structured morning routine might be hurting you instead of helping you. So let's dive in. So before we dive into why morning routines can be a problem, let me be clear, I am not saying that they're useless. Many successful people swear by them, and for some, having a structured start to your day helps with focus, discipline, and momentum. If waking up at the same time, hitting the gym, and meditating helps you feel unstoppable, that's fantastic. Keep doing that. But the thing is, not everyone functions the same way, and blindly following someone else's routine just because it worked for them can actually backfire. Because the problem isn't the routine itself, it's the assumption that everyone needs one to be productive. So in this video, I'm focusing on the downsides of morning routines, because I believe that if people understood more about the pros and cons, they'd be able to make a much smarter decision about what works for them. Morning routines are often praised to bring structure and consistency into your life. But what if that structure actually becomes a trap? Because here's the problem, the more rigid your routine is, the less room you leave for spontaneity, creativity, and real-life flexibility. Because real life is messy. Flights get delayed, real-life work tasks come up, social opportunities pop out of nowhere, and sometimes, honestly, you just want to sleep in without feeling like you failed the day before it even started. A strict morning routine can trick you into thinking that if you don't tick off every habit on your to-do list, whether it's journaling, stretching, or drinking lemon water, you're already off to a bad start. And this can lead to a toxic mindset where you feel dependent on a routine to be productive instead of adapting to the situation at hand. So let's say you've built the perfect morning routine. You wake up at 5:30 a.m., you go for a run, meditate for 10 minutes, make a protein-packed breakfast, and then dive straight into work. Sounds fantastic, right? But then one day you get invited to a spontaneous late-night event with friends, and then you stay out longer than planned, wake up exhausted because you have to wake up at 5:30, and your entire morning routine is ruined. So you skip the run, feel groggy, and start the day off with this lingering guilt that you've fallen off track. So the morning routine that was supposed to give you control over your life is now controlling you. And instead of adjusting and moving on, you feel like you've broken some sacred rule of productivity. But the most successful people aren't the ones who follow a perfectly set routine every morning. They're the ones who can adapt to different situations without losing momentum. Flexibility really is a skill, and if your routine is so rigid that it collapses as soon as life throws you a curveball, then it's not actually helping you, it's holding you back. A routine should serve you, not the other way around. So if a morning routine makes you feel anxious, guilty, or trapped, then it's time to rethink if you actually need one. We've all heard the advice. Wake up at 5 a.m., you'll get a head start of the world and be successful. But what if your body simply hates early mornings? Some people are naturally night owls, and forcing yourself into an early morning routine can actually make you less productive, not more. Your body has a built-in biological clock, your chronotype, which determines at what times you feel most alert and when you need rest. Some people wake up with the sun ready to conquer the world before breakfast, and others hit their peak energy levels in the evening and do their best thinking at night. And forcing yourself into a rigid morning routine that doesn't match your natural rhythm is like trying to reprogram your body. And guess what? Your body doesn't like being forced. So instead of feeling energized, you might find yourself being groggy, unmotivated, unfocused, and struggling to get through the morning just to crash later in the day. So let's say you're a night owl. You get into your natural flow state at 10 p.m. and do your best work at night. But because you've been told that successful people wake up early, you force yourself to wake up at 5:30 a.m. So what happens is that you wake up exhausted because your body isn't wired to function at that hour. Your morning routine, whether it's reading, meditating, or exercising, feels like a chore rather than something that fuels you. Then you drag yourself through the day, needing multiple coffees just to stay awake. And by the time your natural energy kicks in, probably in the evening, you feel too sleep deprived to actually take advantage of it. Over time, this doesn't make you more productive. It makes you less productive because you're constantly fighting against your body instead of working with it. The most productive people don't necessarily wake up early. They wake up when their body functions best. Some of the most successful individuals in history, from writers to entrepreneurs, are notorious night owls. The key isn't to force yourself into a morning routine that doesn't fit you, it's to build a routine around your peak performance hours. If your most creative and productive time is in the evening, why fight that? Why not design a schedule that actually works for you instead of trying to fit into someone else's mold? Rigid morning routines ignore a fundamental truth. Not everyone is built the same way. Instead of trying to be a morning person, try to optimize your day around your own natural rhythm. This is where real productivity happens, and talking about being productive, let's talk about the next point, which is probably the biggest takeaway from this video. Here's the reality: a morning routine is not the same as being productive. Some of the most productive people don't follow strict routines at all. They focus on outcomes, not rituals. A morning routine can feel productive, but if it takes up too much time without actually moving the needle on your goals, then it's just a glorified to-do list. Let's be honest, how many people spend 90 minutes on their morning routine every day and then, when they're done, feel too mentally drained to actually get things done? Because the truth is, filling your morning routine with activities doesn't mean you're being productive, it just means you're busy. Productivity is about results, not rituals. If your morning routine helps you build up a productive day, that's great. But if it's just an elaborate checklist that takes up time and energy, then it's working against you. Let's say two people start their mornings differently. Person A follows the perfect morning routine. He wakes up at 5 a.m., meditates, journals, does a workout, reads for 30 minutes, and takes an ice bath. By the time they're done, it's 8 a.m. They feel accomplished, but they haven't really achieved anything yet. Person B also wakes up at 5 a.m., skips the stuff, and jumps straight into deep work. They focus on their most important tasks when their mind is fresh, and by 8 a.m., they've already completed meaningful work. So who's actually more productive? We'd probably agree it's person B, because they focus on getting things done instead of just following a routine for the sake of it. Now, again, I'm not saying morning routines are useless. If they genuinely help you feel energized and focused, that's fantastic. But if you're actually spending an hour optimizing your morning routine every day instead of actually getting things done, then it might be time to rethink it. Now, of course, if your alternative to a morning routine is not working but doom scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours, then a morning routine might be the better option after all. Some of the most successful and productive people in the world don't follow strict morning routines. They focus on outcomes, not habits for the sake of habits. Like take Elon Musk, for example. He doesn't spend his mornings meditating or journaling. He dives straight into work. Or take Jeff Bezos, for example. He said his mornings are for puttering around before focusing on big decisions. They don't force themselves into rigid morning routines because they know that real productivity isn't about how you start your day. It's about what you do with it. Morning routines are supposed to help you start the day strong, right? But what if I told you that for many people, their morning routines is actually just procrastination in disguise? You've probably heard of productive procrastination, when you feel busy and accomplished, but in reality, you're just avoiding the actual work. And guess what? Morning routines can be one of the biggest culprits of this. Have you ever met someone that spends more time optimizing their morning routine instead of actually doing meaningful things? It starts with good intentions. You wake up early, do a 10-step skincare routine, journal about your dreams, read 20 pages of a self-help book, go for a run, take an ice bath, make a protein smoothie, and before you know it, it's already noon. At that point, was it really worth it? This is what I call the morning routine rabbit hole, where you feel like you've achieved something just because you did stuff, but in reality, you're just delaying the real work. And the worst part is that you feel justified because you were being productive, but were you actually productive or did you just keep yourself busy? So how do you know if your morning routine is actually helping you or if it's just a glorified way to procrastinate? Ask yourself these two questions. Number one, does my routine make me more productive or just more occupied? If your morning routine takes hours and leaves you drained before you even start working, then it's not helping, it's hurting. And number two, am I doing these things because they serve me or because they feel productive? Be honest to yourself. Are you journaling because it serves your mind or because it's another checkbox on your to-do list? And are you doing an ice bath because it helps your energy or just because someone on YouTube said it's the key to success? The key is to simplify your routine down to what actually helps you and cut the fluff that's just wasting your time. Let's say you currently have a morning routine that takes 90 minutes. Try cutting it down to 30 minutes, only leaving the stuff that genuinely makes a difference. If you now feel just as energized and focused, you've just saved yourself an hour every morning. That's 30 hours every month. Imagine what you could do with that time. And speaking of wasting time, there's an even bigger problem with morning routines that no one talks about. So we've already found out that blindly following these morning routines can actually make your life worse. But that's especially the case when it means sacrificing something far more important: sleep. We live in a world where morning routines have kind of become a status symbol. There's this idea that if you're not waking up at 5 a.m., hitting the gym, drinking your green juice, and journaling about your life, you're somehow falling behind. But let's be real, what works for a 50-year-old CEO with the private chef and no young kids at home might not work for a college student, a freelancer working late nights, or someone whose brain doesn't even function properly before 10 a.m. And yet people keep forcing themselves into these routines thinking that if they just follow the right steps, they will be more successful. But what if just that 5 a.m. wake-up call makes you worse at everything you do? If your morning routine forces you to wake up earlier than what your body actually needs, you're not helping yourself, you're not actually optimizing your day, you're sabotaging it. So here are a few things that science says. Consistently cutting your sleep short reduces focus, decision-making, and long-term memory. Sleep deprivation has the same effect on your brain as being slightly drunk, and skipping 1 to 2 hours of needed sleep per night makes you less productive even if you feel like you're doing more. So instead of asking what's the best morning routine, ask yourself this instead. What's the best way to wake up feeling actually rested and ready to perform? Because if waking up at 7:30 instead of 5 a.m. gives you an extra 2 hours of deep, high-quality sleep, then skipping the gym first thing in the morning and working out later in the day might actually make you more productive, not less. Your routine should simply fit your energy levels and not the other way around. The real reason successful people thrive isn't because of a perfect morning routine, it's because they've designed their days around what actually makes them perform at their best. That's why the perfect morning routine for you isn't some viral 10-step checklist, it's the one that actually makes you feel and perform better. So here's the bottom line, morning routines can be useful, but they're not the reason people are successful. A rigid morning routine can kill spontaneity and make you feel trapped instead of productive. Your body clock matters. Forcing yourself into a routine that fights your natural rhythm is a losing battle. Productivity isn't about routines, it's about results. If your morning routine doesn't provide actual value, it's just a glorified checklist. Morning routines can turn into procrastination. Sometimes tweaking your routine can become an excuse to avoid actual work, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. And if you're sacrificing sleep for the sake of a routine, you're making a bad trade. So if your current routine is working for you, that's fantastic, but if it's making you more stressed, more tired, and less productive, then it might be time to rethink it. Now, morning routine is one thing, but without the right mindset and habits, you'll have a really hard time living a happy and successful life. So watch this video next where I talk about habits that actually did improve my life. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side.